So Stop Killing Games is an initiative that wants to stop killing games, quite literally. Basically, it wants to make sure that when games are no longer supported by a company or corporation, that it's still left in a reasonably playable state and the community can take over and they can handle things from there. No more corporate ties, no more support that comes from them, because think about it, supporting something for an infinite amount of time and indefinitely, that's unreasonable. You can't ask a company or corporation to do that. So that's why Stop Killing Games is not asking for that. Don't make it so that you can no longer access or play this game. That's literally what Stop Killing Games is all about. And for me, when I first heard of this initiative, my first exposure to it, it was very positive. It was some Accursed Farms, Ross. He introduced it. I understood everything. It made a lot of sense. And yeah, and that was my only exposure to it, really. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And I think a lot of people can get behind it. Like, we want to keep our video games forever. Like, that makes sense. Little did I know that, wow, things could not have been further from the truth. I watched Ross's most recent video on Stop Killing Games, and I watched it in its entirety. And the biggest thing that made my jaw drop in that video is when he started talking about the coverage that Pirate Software provided for the movement. Now, I'm not here to bash anyone. I'm just here to observe like what Ross literally talked about, how the movement was misrepresented and how a lot of people are under like false impressions on what the movement is. As a matter of fact, I don't even want to misrepresent what this initiative is. It literally says that the initiative does not seek to acquire ownership of said video games, associated intellectual rights, or monetization rights. Neither does it expect the publisher to provide resources for the said video game once they discontinue it, while leaving it in a reasonably functional state. As a matter of fact, I'll let Ross say it in his own words.
As a refresher, Stop Killing Games is a consumer movement to stop publishers from effectively destroying video games they have already sold to customers.
I think that's very valid. If you pay for a video game, then yeah, you should still be able to have access to it. That makes sense. That's like how commerce has worked for centuries. Like, hey, I buy a product, I buy something, and I get something. I get to keep it. There's no other middleman here. There's no, hey, there are no takey backsies or anything like that. Like, come on now. That's ridiculous. And I thought something like this would be a slam dunk. But, you know, when Ross covered, you know, Pirate Software, man, that was just tough to watch, man. Like, how many points of the movement were just misrepresented. And Ross was literally saying like, hey, man, we don't say any of these things in here. We just want all video games to be available after they're no longer supported. That's it. And it doesn't make a distinction between single player games. It doesn't make a distinction between multiplayer games, RPGs, first person shooters, Souls-likes, none of that stuff. It says games, period. It doesn't make that distinction because it's talking about all games that should be, you know, included within this. And honestly, an initiative like this, it shouldn't even have to exist in the first place. I think that's kind of the point of everything. The reason why this is here is that once a game is killed off, it's essentially lost media. You can't access it anymore. And that's the shitty part that, you know, that really goes on with this. And, you know, there's a really easy solution to this. All developers and publishers have to do is just make a patch for the game to be playable offline. But they don't. So for some of these games, they don't. Some games they do. There are some games that you can still play even though the company doesn't support it. And there are some games that have been patched to be playable offline. That's it. That's all you need. Just have it patched. A simple patch and boom bap is done. But, you know, man, these corporations are absolutely, I mean, they're stingy. They're very stingy, man. And yes, some people say if something like this were to be enacted, then hey, that's going to be a lot of work on developers to do. And like, yeah, of course, it's going to be X amount of work. Like, yeah, it's going to take some amount of effort to make those happen. But I think this is more beneficial for future games. So that way, when you're in pre-production and the planning phase of like future and new games, it's already built in. It becomes a non-issue. So that way, when it's time to end support, it's not like you're trying to wrestle out something that's incredibly difficult. You're not going into like a rat's nest and you trying to weave through all of that stuff because it's already fixed. You already planned for it. It's already there. It's a natural process. All you basically gotta do is flip the switch and bam, it's gone. So this is really beneficial for games that are still in development or future games from beyond this point. That's where the real benefit is. Now, to apply it retroactively, yeah, it may require some work. And in reality, that's not really the customer's problem to worry about. The customer does not care how much manpower went into a product. They don't care if it took you a month, 6 months, a year, or however long it takes to completely flesh out and build a product. They only care about, hey, can I keep access to this thing that I bought and paid for? If the answer is anything but yes, then that is a problem. And that's the root cause of all of this. That's the only big issue that Stop Killing Games is trying to address, maintaining that access when the company and the official support stops for it. Also, it's the publisher's job to do work, and sometimes you get crappy projects at work. Sorry, that's called being employed. That's called working. The same concept could be applied to like the car manufacturing industry. Before there were different laws and regulations in place, when they made certain engines and parts for their cars, it was a wild west. Like all kinds of crap was going on out here. But when, the law started cracking down, like, hey, you have to make your things this certain type of way, those laws, they don't care how much design work and effort has to go into making those vehicles more safer for customers. Fix it. Just get the job done. And that same concept can kind of be applied here. It doesn't matter how much quote unquote work it takes to make sure customers can keep access to their video games. Fix it. Just make it happen. That's it. Make sure that moving forward, things are good. It's really crazy when you think about things like that. And that same process is like, yeah, it's going to be some work. At some point, customer and consumer rights has to take center stage. And the way this industry has been manipulating customers for decades with ridiculous monetization strategies and microtransaction, and let's not get started on loot boxes and all those gambling mechanics. Yeah, sorry, some people, like, enough is enough. You got to draw the line in the sand somewhere. And for all my folks out there that live in, within the EU and whatnot, the link to provide your support so that way it can get to the signature requirement will be in the pinned comment and description. So that way you can have an active role in making sure that games stop being killed. This could be huge because right now there's nothing. There's no kind of regulation with like how these publishers, they interact with their customers. Like, it's either you agree to these terms or you can go kick rocks. And that's absolutely insane. I am on the side of us, the gamers, the players, the customers, the people who go out and spend their money. I want this to be something that's very beneficial for us. I'm not about trying to take someone's proprietary code or trying to take their IP and make money off of it. No, not at all. Just having access to something that you paid for. That's it. That's all they're asking for all games, no matter what that game is. And as you can tell, video games are pretty fun. I think they're pretty decent, And if you want to hear me yap about a really good game, then check out this video here on Claire Obscure, SBistion 33. I've yapped on about like 15 minutes for that game, and it's just, it's très magnifique. And also got some other videos here on how GTA San Andreas was made, and I think you should check these things out.